DR, it does make it a little bit trickier placing that Z on the diagram. So you can do all the other stuff. You can put the Q on, you can put the X on, but you're going to be wondering how you put the Z on. If you don't have a DR latitude in the question, there's another piece of information that you will most certainly have, and that's the direction of the body from you at the point of the Merpass observation. And you've got two options for that. It's either going to be due north or it's going to be due south, because it's on the meridian. So if you get a question with all the other details except for the latitude DR, then you'll be told that the body is to the north of the observer or to the south of the observer. So once you've set up your diagram minus the Z, you can have a think, well, is the body to the north of me or is the body to the south of me? If the body's to the north of me, it's quite easy really in this case, because you can think, well, if X is to the north of me, then I'm somewhere further south than X. And that's how it would have been set up in this question. You would have been told that the body was to the north of you. However, it's a little bit trickier if you had a question where you're told that the body is to the south of you if the body's in the southern hemisphere, or the body's to the north of you if the body's in the northern hemisphere, simply because you wouldn't know which side of the equator you were on purely on the basis of that. You would be thinking, well, if the body's to the south of me, I'm either going to be somewhere between Q and X, or I'm going to be somewhere on the other side of Q in the northern hemisphere. The only way you're going to know that is going to be by looking at your MZD, because if the MZD is less than the declination, then the distance from Z to X, which is obviously another way of putting MZD, Z to X, that is going to have to put the Z somewhere between Q and X if the MZD is less than the declination. If the MZD is more than the declination, then you know that Z must be somewhere above Q. And it doesn't really matter about drawing it to scale. As long as you have Q, Z and X in the right order, you can calculate the result. The other slight disadvantage you have if you don't have a DR position given in the question is the fact that whatever your final answer is there, you can go back and check that it makes sense in relation to your DR, because if it's a few degrees out, then you know that it's very unlikely that your DR would have been that wrong. You're looking for something, it could be several miles out. I mean, you could be, I don't know, 25 miles out because your DR wasn't particularly good. But if I was getting 13 as my DR and I had 9 degrees here, I'd know something had gone wrong. So if you don't have a DR in the question, you don't have that kind of safeguard. You don't have something to check it against. But you could still solve it by looking at the direction of the body from the observer.